Hey guys, RJ, Levi, CNC Metalworks. I want to show you, introduce you to another project in our sweet little shop dog. This is Ellie Mae. She really stays close to everything. Redneck alarm bell though. We know who's coming through the gate. Works good. 72 Bronco. Been a lot of fun. We have some really great customers that let us do some really cool stuff. So we're thrilled to show you guys this. Shutting in the electrical for it, so kind of put this little coil like this. We got an old 302, typical V8 that would have came in them, but lots of tricks, lots of neat stuff. And these things have been done with the Coyotes and the modern things and the computer car. We really wanted to do something with like customize and hot rod the motor.
A more classical taste to it.
Yeah, and still have a real nostalgic feel, nostalgic look. But you know, we got, believe it or not, air conditioning, power, everything. It has all the amenities of a real street rod, all the good looks. Internal's been built by a pro over in another town, but the guy's really good Ford guy, specializes in Fords. Did a great job, top to bottom. So it's pushing a little more horsepower than stock. Gonna have a lot to show you. It's gonna be a fun little ride, but custom front to back. In this project, y'all kind of caught us in what we call mid rough end build. Motor accessories are going in. We decided to go with the actual 302 that came in it. We got some really cool aftermarket pieces. It'll do really well on the street. Sanderson rear dump headers, matter ignition, Edelbrock injection, all CVS drive and air conditioning, wheel braking, and we did a lot of custom trick stuff up here where we raised the whole firewall base so we can, on the other side, actually put in an AC unit, heat, defrost, that kind of thing, and a little bit of trick metal work. But we still wanted this thing to look like a 72 Bronco, and we wanted to use some 72 Bronco stuff. We wanted that real nostalgic feel, even though it's a show and hot rod kind of deal. You can get in this thing, go get groceries and wipe it off and go to a car show, have a ton of fun. The customizing we're doing to it is to not take away from what it is, but at the same time do a lot of really cool subtle tricks. We filled in the header bar, we single blank the front bar. There will be some Bronco lettering in here instead of the traditional Ford stuff, so it's a little nod to the old way and then the new way with the lighting and that kind of thing. Full integral one-piece front end. You notice there's no seams. The same way with the bumper, it'll all be tucked. We got rid of the vent holes. We changed all the bracing in the hoods so we could make our little custom air cleaner do its job and actually close a fit. I know it looks close, but you can stick your finger up here, so we got plenty of clearance. And we went to power. Most of these old girls came with manual steering.
Yeah.
And this is an aftermarket box, but we wanted, again, another amenity, power steering, real easy to drive. And that was when, even more easy to drive, we had a really cool TCI custom built C6 automatic just for this thing. TransAdapt did a really neat adapter for the transfer case, so we can run all the old stuff but in a much better way. So this is kind of one of them ones that have been really cool to have back in the day. Heavy duty stuff, get in it, drive, easy. I
don't think I've ever seen the motor in this thing until today.
Yeah, it's crank and go. We've just recently got a few parts and pieces that we've had to kind of fit in and change and do and make things work. And there's a lot of little things to make things work, but you can really work on this thing really easy because of the small changes we've made. And it works really well. It's a cool little ride.
Go check out the inside.
Yeah, cool. These customers, they're so cool. The things they notice that were just standouts. Everybody knows about the big forehead headache stock windshield wiper setups on the front of the Broncos. They were obtrusive. Well, let's just face it, downright ugly. We run a little aftermarket hot rod unit that comes in here with a hidden motor, actuators, and more of a modern type wiper system. And that allowed us to go in here and right off the bat create a dash that was kind of a nod to the old dash shape, but we wanted to fabricate and make something that was going to disguise or cover the wiper system, as you can see. And this can be padded or it can be all painted. We'll have all of our gauging, our AC scuppers. We got this really cool glove box original going back in with its numbers. Then we built a center console from nothing. Low car shifter. They wanted USB ports for their phones, so we have a phone shelf and chargers, and the radio, which is really cool. A few made pieces. All this stuff gets covered. Everything's going to be done in leather and look really cool. And so all these pieces were made, so they do their job. And we got a little hidden glove box that's going to be really cool for extra storage. Steering column is I did it unit, like a lot used, but we did a really cool adapter piece so we could run a early Ford style wood wheel, that GT appearance. We got the little Bronco emblem for that, so that'll be really cool. And then we did a full pedal delete because it was an old standard, like most of these were. And we're set up with a low car gas pedal and drop pedal for brakes. That way it'll drive and handle properly.
So you got your custom switches in the middle here too.
That's where she's going. And then, like I said, the front panel when it finishes up nice.
Were they originally on the doors or on the mid console?
Oh, I just decided to put them there. I thought it'd be a neat place for the left-right control. Everybody can get to them, easy access, and it's just clean.
Don't you have a drawing for the dash?
Yeah, we sure do. We doing. You have gauges. Vertical controls on your ACs and your AC vents, balance, all your switches and so forth. And this is what's going in next in glove box, and everything is easy access. But I think it's going to look really nice. And they actually, set this up with how they want to do it. I'm just going to apply it.
I like it.
Yeah, custom, but it still has that nostalgic, like it came that way look, or it should have come that way. Would have been better than what Bronco did. Look really nice. We made little billet pieces to clean up the entry instead of the plastic for the receiver for the steering column. We make a lot of in-house pieces that are just cleaner, simpler, and blind. The LED lighting front and back, as you know. We cleaned up a ton of ugly seams and where the factory does lap seams and spot welds and everything, we de-seamed everything, welded it all up so it's slicker, cleaner. Receive well. We used the back half of roll cage that you can buy, and then we did the front half. We wanted that full box, that full roll cage, and then we'll have a center bar that goes down. So it's not quite complete yet, but you can get the idea of the design, and it'll be its only one. You remember the Bronco was known for being so many pieces. You had a split seam in the back, you had a big seam here, so all this stuff was separate, and you had the gas lid, and you had the side panel, and then markers and holes, and we took the metal and the welder and we selected all that off. And then what's really neat, hidden, and we'll probably make this mode, but it's a cool little gas lid. It's motorcycle weld in. You can get these at Speedway. They're really neat. But when this is slicked in, it'll be done by paint. You'll be wondering where it was. And if you look back here in the back, probably can't see it, but I ran a full tube. It goes all the way down behind the lighting, turns into the custom-made fuel tank. So the fuel will be accessible and vented all the way to the back end, and will drop right into the gas tank. The little bridge span and the articulated quad 4-link. We're doing a 4-link in the rear, 4-link in the front, but every piece of it's made all DOM, heavy duty tubing, polypropylene graphite bushings, and it's got tied ends. Everything sets and will adjust on the ends, and the triangulated part will adjust, but which leaves us to setting up our coil over front end. And what we did here, after we got some really nice Wiltwood braking front and back, that it's a great setup, big advancement in braking for this Bronco. Nice kit to have. If you're gonna put money in stuff, you want to stop good. But these guys working at RSO, they make these for of all things, the new Jeeps. And I started doing a little measuring, and with the lift and the mountains, things that we want to do. And I ordered these for a Jeep with a lift. So it works out really cool. You got your fully adjustable gas-fed dual coilover adjustable shocks, which is incredible because this thing will have a lot more articulation, a lot of articulation to where it rides and handles really well versus, you know, they had the big cumbersome coilovers, separate shocks with that big huge panhard bar. The things were kind of like a buggy springs in the back, so it really banged around. The suspension on a stock Bronco kind of fights itself. We wanted to take all that out, really modernize it, slick it up. And what we're going to be able to do when we set the towers up and the low pieces, we'll come in here something like this. And there's a full wheel well that goes in here, covers all this up. And you'll be able to look in here and see all this. This will be bracketed in, tubed in. You'll have ear tabs that go down, bolt all this in. We'll do some really cool gussets. Stays away from the steering. Everybody's happy. It lands really well. The front's almost done. We're just now rigging up the back bars for the back. Pretty soon, should be a roller. We just started setting in the electrical for it. So once it's wired and fired in primer, we're gonna go run around the block, see how it all acts, work out the bugs, break it down for paint and body. Okay, real quick. These are kind of the beginnings of this upper tower support mount that we're making for the coilovers. Basically, because of the shape that we want to finish with, we've done a really close bend here, a double bend, two different directions. You want to do an opposed direction, so you have a left and a right. We'll run some nice DOM heavy gauge in between. Obviously, some nice little plug weld holes. This comes in like this. And because we've got a manual bender, and tip of the day, get you a young guy like my boy there to help you do all that. The strength really helps. I appreciate that, Levi. But we're gonna lob these off again, all set with some marks that are keep everything similar, and the overall effect, it'll let things come out the same. So with our left and our right and our bend, we know we're gonna make the splice. We're gonna have a drop down bracket in here where this thing bolts up. We're also gonna have some beefed up brackets. So you take the two pieces, we're jigged up. We got a nice flat workbench here. Just clamped them up. They'll hunt or find their own place. I like to use these really cool vice grips double in. They're used for flanges like on rocker panels and stuff. They'll actually grab the pipe itself nice and straight. And y'all remember we had the sleeve in there. We've got our plug weld points here. And we'll set up with the welder and get this stuff welded in. Just a quick note, I like to take grinder, run off the edge, create a little bit of a bead. We'll get a nice deep sunk weld. When we grind this off, it's really stout. And what holds the sleeve in place is a really heavy hot plug weld. And the support we're doing, as y'all will see later, when we've got these drop-in ear tabs double jointed for the shock mount, there'll actually be some really cool gussets in here that'll actually support all this. So this will not be a weak factor by any means. It's just a slick, quick way on some affordable tooling to do some really close, heavy bends that you can stylize a mount with. Any other way, we don't have the tooling to make something out of one piece. This is why we're doing this, and it works out really well. Super strong in the end. Okay, we got our pieces welded up, ground splices in, back on our flat workbench. This time we've inverted it because this is the side we're keeping. That's going to be our future mount for the shocks, coilovers. Anyway, we already know, we've established, we have about, from center of the shock coilover over to the frame is about 4 inches even. So that's what we're setting this one up for. So any stock laying around the shop, not much of a math guy, but I know tubes can give you some crazy angles. They just can. And one of the things I try to do is just get a piece of 4-inch stock. It's flat, everything's square. And we can go down through here and we can make some scribe marks, keeping this bad boy flat. If you see, as long as I stay flat to the surface, especially aluminum. I notice it almost leaves like a, you probably can't see it on camera, but it'll leave a bit of a white mark. I can come in here and I can establish some little marks with a nice brand new Sharpie, and it keeps us honest. So we'll get this bad boy marked up, and we'll get it cut off, and then we just barely kind of face it with a grinder where it's nice and flat, and that gives us our offset and gives us that nice gentle curve, just so it just looks a little better in the design. But we also got our support because we'll have a back gusset like we explained before. Y'all will see in the end of this, once everything's mounted up, how it's finished and how much nicer it looks than just bending a piece of pipe looking like a kid's swing set and then, you know, cut off and welded in. I've seen a lot of that stuff. They stick out like stobs. It's perfectly fine. They work. Some people, it's a slick, easy way out. This is just a way to show you how to use some stuff laying around the shop, just to give you a little extra slick look. It just looks nice. Got a couple of brackets, at the same time gussets for our towers we're going to make. Okay, here's our brackets. They match up really well. After all, we have two sides on the front that we're going to be doing. Spared you all the cleanup work. Okay, little idea how this is going to fit in here. You can see it mounted to the shock, the center, and somewhere in there we're going to be tying it into the frame. This is our little offset piece. That's about where it'll sit, somewhere, give or take. Okay, so real quick, just show you how we establish that bottom bracket. Kind of like the top bracket, just get some rough ideas, a little bit of cardboard, and transfer it to metal. All this is come together as long as we keep it mapped out and patterned the same. So going back to that cardboard piece, I like to take advantage when I can, especially for my customer. If I can save them money, save us a little time and trouble on the money, you can get these little bracket kits. Really cool. Gives you some extra height adjustments, which is neat. And the way our pattern is going to be configured is, you can tell with our little bolt holes, because we want to be closer to the axle, we're going to be kind of a mismatched sort of deal. But that's okay. The neat thing about these machined holes and the fact that they make this out of some pretty good stuff. This is particularly 1/4 inch stock. I got these at Summit, not sponsored. Jigs, Speedway, Hot Rod Outfits, again, not sponsored, but they have different versions of them. I personally stay away from like the 3/16 stuff. It's a little malleable, a little bit soft, a little bit light. Doing off-road, 4-wheel drive, well, a little bit more durability. We're also going to show you how we make these stronger. So we make this work really well. You'll see that at the very end of this as we tie this together. Once we flush this off, we've got our new plate. We'll come in, I'll show you the pattern, and then we'll make our new top, and we'll be ready to bolt these on and give them a little tack weld, put everything in position. Got our fillers in, all that grounding, everything cleaned off, like they came that way. We got plenty of extra meat to work with. Sorry about the clinking. This is really cool, pattern 2. Earlier we talked about the patterns establishing our height. We transferred to another pattern to give us a key to where to set the arc for the axle. So we're gonna come in here. Oh man, reading glasses, safety at the same time. Another cool tool. So we've set this that we mapped out earlier, base and shape. We don't have a bandsaw, but I got a cool way to do this. Makes things a little easy around the shop. down here on this low bracket. Kind of tough to see in here. Hopefully y'all get an idea. Anyway, you can tell we've got our stirrup in. The bracket we made, added the beef, got our new arc, got plenty of gap for welding. We'll beef all that up. It goes in here. If you notice, all of our tolerances are really close, but an inch is as good as a mile, because you know we're putting trail arms on this thing and all kind of other stuff, and we want to be really close to the axle center, which in this case is about as close as you can get. Really helps out on the vertical ride. Over here you can kind of tell a little bit better. We've got our gusset piece will be welded in, our stirrups, up down factor. We can actually, if we had to, like for instance, cut this off, you could, it gives you a 3-bolt to move this up and down. You've got another 2 inches of lift in this. We're going to come here and strengthen this up. Normally your off-road stuff run a big tube overhead, but this isn't really going to do a lot of ditch jumping, but at the same time this will be really, really strong. So we'll make a double piece here, triangulate all this for vertical support, and it should do really well. Okay, after a little bit of grinding, our little old piece is ready to go in. Okay, well, got a few more brackets in. Didn't really want to bore you guys with the same tedious how we make brackets and do them, but you can see our outer tower is now completely bound on the middle of the support, shaped in nicely. We got everything kind of welded in, and we'll do a little cleanup and grind later. And towers, they're there and tied into the frame. You can get an idea of how the top end looks. And we'll get down here to the bottom and show you how we tied in these bracket pieces. But I wanted to show you guys this little kick. It not only protects the front, but it keeps this lower bracket triangulated. Really comes out strong. We do that quite a bit, and you know, it looks okay. Okay, that's going to wrap up this part of the video on the first gen Bronco full custom project we're doing here at the shop. We customize a lot of different stuff, so there's a little something for everybody out there. We're not really going to show the back end because it's basically just another video of the same thing, but we will be showing some other things in the future. A lot of custom stuff, a lot of custom ideas, things coming for this. We'll do a full cleanup, which comes all apart. Everything's detailed, painted, be real pretty at the shows. And I did a little grabber. A lot of fun. Hope y'all picked up some stuff. Anyway, really appreciate y'all watching. Help someone out today. Just makes things a little better.